So now we can go for Juggernaut against Rehoboam. The games are recorded just to allow us to watch the games in fast speed. It will be more comfortable. Rehoboam has already played against Juggernaut in the past. It was in the Definitive Editions tournament in which Juggernaut, if I'm right, did win 2-1, but it was in the first round of the tournament in DE, while Rehoboam didn't have a pretty strong version. So the story might be different this time, even if Rehoboam doesn't play its best in AOC. So those games were played with the latest version of Rehoboam, the 2.1a. This is the version released by Rehoboam by TheNightPanda yesterday. And in this version, Rehoboam plays as Frankish and Persian, so we will have Persian plus Frankish in the 2v2 next game. And let's say that this deer is really annoying. And at least this house should be broken eventually, but unfortunately there is no villagers harassment. So Juggernaut as Frankie should go for a fast castle and knight. And unfortunately the house just survived. at least one lumber camp and one mining camp were found already by Rehoboam. Oh, that's gonna hurt a lot. Well, it was supposed to be a fast castle, but castling 21 minutes is definitely no more a fast castle for Juggernaut. And Rehoboam managed to research castle just 1 minute or so after Juggernaut. It's a pretty decent time looking at the so many archers trained. The kill ratio is just impressive, 27 kill, 0 lows. That's a pretty clean archer micro. Well, the game is over. Eventually, Juggernaut doesn't have decent resign rules. Yes, GG. It was a no match, to be honest. And in this first game we noticed that Rehoboam didn't suffer from any bug. And looking at the statistic, Juggernaut didn't do any damage. It killed 0 units and lost 44. So here we go for the game 2. So we've got Frankish plus Persian. And Juggernaut does have some strategies in 1v1 which are not used in team games, even in 2v2. So we shouldn't see a fast castle this time for Juggernaut. And indeed the fast castle didn't work at all in the 1v1, so let's say that this game should be a better game for Juggernaut this time. Oh, I forgot to change the score, sorry about this. Let me fix it. And it's once again pretty decent time for Rehoboam. Oh, but I definitely doesn't like where is the mining camp position. I'm scared that it's gonna hurt a lot. So let's see if this is gonna kill yellow. Well, this rush did work quite well regarding the kill ratio for blue. At least it killed a bunch of villagers. Now red is gonna counterattack. So I really would like to see a new mining camp for yellow at this point. Well, after having lost a bunch of villagers, red is eventually managing to make some damage on blue. Okay, so once again I was wrong when I said that Juggernaut in 2v2 wouldn't attempt a fast castle. At least it did it as the Frankish player. But that's already a lot of French units for one unique knight. Well, at least 4 knights help a lot. Interesting to see the one mangonel for blue. That's a good reaction. Red eventually does have the civilian population advantage, but it's still in feudal age. And Juggernaut plays its game the way it used to do, as a pretty aggressive AI. Okay, yes, indeed. This mining camp is just killing yellow, unfortunately. It never attempted to build a new one. And it probably sold its resources to get the gold required to research Castle Age, but without any villagers going for gold, I don't see how yellow can manage to win its side. And that's a great move from Juggernaut, which switch the target for yellow. Well, it's not gonna be a clean sheet for Rehoboam in that match. And the score is 1-1. Yeah, it's something I will see what I will restart quite fast the recorded game, because I also want to see what happened in red side when red was brushed by blue. Well, I would be surprised if yellow didn't scout the gold, which was really close from the TC. Indeed, it was close to the border. Maybe it would be the reason why the exploration failed. But yeah, we need to watch what happened. So let's have a look. So indeed, that gold wasn't found at this point. But well, it did find the second gold. Okay. So let's see what happened on the other side. Okay, so the villagers just didn't retreat. Okay, so let's say that Juggernaut just did great in rushing, and its victory is definitely deserved anyway. So here we go for the next one. And I think that TheNightPanda will be interested in getting those recorded games. So next one is gonna be double Frankish plus 1 Persian for Rehoboam against Persian, Frankish and Breton for Juggernaut. This time the Frankish has a pocket for Juggernaut, which is definitely something great. And we've got the Persian as pocket for Rehoboam. Purple and green are really close from each other. Well, I think that not considering a gold mine which is at the distance it was is a big mistake, especially when sometimes Arabia can be kind of weird. And I think that even 30 tills from the TC shouldn't be judged to be too far from the TC to pull the mining camp. Well, unfortunately, Teal already lost one villager, probably against the boar. And I would say that in the group A, the next day will be pretty interesting because we will have Rehoboam against Immortal, which will probably define the winner of that group. But well, first Rehoboam needs to win at least the two next games against Juggernaut. And for having seen the 2v2, we can feel kind of confused. But the good point is the fact that Rehoboam didn't have any critical bug, I would say, even in that 2v2. It just failed in finding one mining camp, and the drush from Juggernaut did work pretty well. Especially because the lumber camp was really far from the TC, and I think that it hurt Rehoboam a lot. And then the strategy going fast castle and knights, as Frankish eventually worked, in the contrary of what happened in the 1v1, which was a big mess for Juggernaut. Well, it's a good defense here from Rehoboam. He didn't lose any archers, despite the fact that the opponent did have skirmishers plus archers. Rehoboam is dealing pretty well with that tower. Well, that's gonna be a lot to kill. It's a disaster actually for green. So GG. And I just noticed that the game lags when the player keeps sending resources to Italy. And I would say that Juggernaut didn't play bad at all. We saw that Red did have some troubles, especially when Blue came to help Teal. At some point, Red did have a very low civilian population, but in the other side, Yellow just went crazy on green and then on blue. I think that Yellow shouldn't have retreated when it was researching Imperial Age, while it did have like, let's say 20 knights, I would say, in Blue's town. It was clearly a moment to kill Blue, but for some reasons it just retreated. Anyway, let's see the statistics. Okay, so we've got the 4v4 right now. So Juggernaut is Britain once again with Persian and Frankish, and the new civilization is going to be Saracen as pockets. I think that it's definitely not the best civilization for Juggernaut. And at least if Juggernaut went for camels, of course, to counter the Persian opponents as pockets, that would help. But I don't think Juggernaut goes for camels that much in general. Well, I noticed that um, villagers tend to freeze a bit when they are trained Rehoboam side. But fortunately it doesn't happen every time. Oh, that's a big shame for Juggernaut. Already 3 villagers dead. Oh boy, it doesn't have loom. Well, this is 6 villagers left for Juggernaut. I'm close to say game over, honestly. Well, I assume it did lose its scout too, somewhere. Yeah, probably on red. So it's a pretty bad start for Teal. Okay, let's go Juggernaut. Let's attempt the first assault. At least it does have some skirmishers, which definitely could help. And Juggernaut does have an interesting retreat rule to the forward towers, but at least it needs the tower to be built, and I'm scared that it won't be the case, especially because orange and purple does have a great coordination. So, Juggernaut just lost its whole army. That was a bad move. And definitely what makes a huge difference between those new AIs and the old ones is those villagers micro, which are amazing. Going castle edge that fast with so many archers is really good. Okay, so red considers that blue is already hurt enough and doesn't waste time. So does yellow. Anyway, Teal was already dead by the wolf assault in the dark age. Well, despite this terrible kill ratio for blue, it eventually managed to go for a castle with 2 stables. And at this point it's time for green to suffer in 1v2. Well, I would say that if we compare Rehoboam with Immortal, its attack tends to be more effective than Immortal's one, at least when Rehoboam doesn't bug. But I guess that as long as I play the game offline and just stream the recorded games, Rehoboam looks to have a decent behavior in general. And its castle edge time tends to be a bit faster than Immortal's one too. Well, it's interesting to notice that flanks survived while pockets are just dead. Juggernaut side. And I never realized that Teal was still in Feudal Age. And Red looks to have some issues to research Imperial Age at this point. He does have the resources to Imperial Age, but it does have one monastery and does have the wood to build at least one university or one siege workshop, but it doesn't for some reasons. Interesting to see that even as Frankish pocket flank, I mean, in Imperial Age, Rehoboam doesn't build any stable. It stays with its early crossbows and hand cannoneers, plus some halberdiers. I think that it makes Rehoboam having interesting army composition with the pocket. Okay, so it's time to die for both of the flanks at this point. And it looks like Red will never research Imperial Age. Looking at its resources, it makes no sense. Well, Leaf, I didn't notice any real bug for Rehoboam. At least it didn't play that great in 2v2. It failed against a great drush from one of the Juggernauts, while in the other side it failed in finding one, I mean the closest gold, so it failed in building its mining camp, which hurt it a lot, but I would say that it's not about the bugs we noticed in the previous round. Anyway, you will have the access to the VOD quite soon. But well, in fact the team score is just ridiculous, I would say. I'm gonna increase the speed. Okay, we've got the university eventually for Red. So it should be able to research Imperial Age eventually, with so many resources at this point. Okay, game over. So it's not a clean sheet for Rehoboam, but at least it's a victory 3-1. The next match for Rehoboam will be against Immortal, so let's say that it's gonna be really interesting and decisive for the first place in that group. Let's have a look at the achievements. And of course, the score needs to be updated. 3-1. So today we saw two top AIs, Immortal and Rehoboam,